Good afternoon, everybody. It is about 12:30 Eastern Time. This is Burke Lyle here on Burke Lyle Sports Talk. And major news happened yesterday around the NFL. Leonard Fournette is trying to recruit Cam Newton to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this happened yesterday on ESPN's First Take. And Cam Newton was released by the Panthers about 3 weeks ago. And at the time, I heard a lot of, well, not me, not the talks. This is what I said. I said that Cam will sign with the Patriots. And so far, nothing's happened right now. I think we'll wait until really after the draft to really know when, say, a Cam Newton or Jameis Winston signs, or when, say, Andy Dalton is going to be traded. The same thing happened with Carson Palmer back when Andy Dalton was drafted by the Bengals. So those are interesting questions to ask. And right now, I want to talk about, most of the information I'm getting today is from Michael DeRucco of ESPN, wrote about the Jaguars. So, the main point is Leonard Fournette wants Cam Newton. He thinks that's the way that will make the Jaguars better. And again, just 3 years ago, the Jaguars went all the way. They went from 3-13 all the way to the conference championship game. Almost beat the Patriots, who went on to lose to the Eagles. Right? So they couldn't quite do that. And they haven't played in the playoffs since. They were never able to really carry over from that run. I think the biggest reasons were, I think the defense got worse over time. I think Leonard Fournette wasn't as effective. Sure, he had his moments. I think it was a downplay of Blake Bortles, and then you bring in Nick Foles, and then that all went away. Gets traded to the Bears after 1 year, and really the emergence of Gardner Minchew. So really, the Jaguars organization, from, if you would have asked their outlook going into 2017, probably not very high. To then 2018, much higher. Expectations are sky high. They're talking about winning a Super Bowl. To then 2019. To then here we are now. The Jaguars have been, look, in their early days, they were a very well-run franchise. Tom Coughlin was their head coach. They were very well-run for, for part of the 90s, I think, part of the 2000s. And then they made it to the playoffs a lot, and then they really struggled. Late 2000s, for a lot of the 2010s, they had one good year, 2017. Since then, they're back to that. So what is a Jaguars franchise? What direction are they going in? So now the question is, you're talking about Cam Newton right now, and yes, this is about Cam Newton, but also I want to kind of turn this into a conversation about Gardner Minchew, where this is the type of conversation that you could have on First Take, Sports Talk Radio, in a bar with your friends. And I'm sure people in Jacksonville are, I live in Jacksonville, my buddy lives in Jacksonville, I'm a Jaguars fan, I'm really not, but we're going to talk about who is better, Gardner Minchew or Cam Newton. So Gardner Minchew came in. He's kind of interesting story, just some quick background information. From Mississippi, went to junior college in Mississippi, went to East Carolina, transferred to Washington, put up huge numbers, well over 4,000 yards. And then he went on, was drafted in the 6th round by the Jaguars last year. And it's kind of funny how really right away he was thrown in and played like a capable NFL starter right away as a 6th-round pick. How that happened, I don't know. And how Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins had a lot of struggles a rookie year. I mean, all of them did at some point in time. All of them had good moments. But how was Gardner Minchew the best of all of them? I don't know. That's an interesting question. So, first 8 games, he threw for almost 2,000 yards. So, again, that's 4,000 yards in a season. 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And he threw for 2 or more touchdowns in 4 of his first 5 games, including 3 on October 27th. It was his 8th game playing in the NFL. So, again, the season's halfway over, and he's looking like the guy in Jacksonville. Right? So, again, all these good performances. And then he threw 2 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. And really in his last, hold on, I might just sneeze again. Excuse me. So he threw for no touchdowns and 2 interceptions on November 3rd. And then a 26-3 loss to the Texans, right? So that was 1 week after potentially his best game he had, maybe his worst game. He did not play the game until December 1st. Keep in mind, there is the bye week, and the Jaguars, with Nick Foles healthy, wanted to give him another opportunity. Well, he played again on December 1st. I guess did okay, not much. And then here is really the last 3 games where you can really start to make the case. He threw for 677 passing yards, 6 touchdown passes, 1 reception in the final 3 games, so down the stretch. So that is over 200 yards a game. In a total season, that's 30-plus touchdowns, or 3 games. Right around 30 touchdowns, 1 interception. So what he showed in that stretch is he is a capable NFL quarterback. Final numbers. So 285 of 470, so about 60% completion percentage, kind of low in today's modern age. 3,271 yards, 26 touchdowns, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Okay, so he's inconsistent. Yes, he was. Again, what about when he had that, maybe the best game of his career? The next week had maybe one of the worst games of his career. And then he's benched. And then he comes back, right? So if you would have asked me, and to be honest, I'm sure if you're a draft expert, you may have heard of Gardner Minchew. I think he was probably not on anybody's radar, say when he was at East Carolina. Had a great year at Washington, kind of came onto the scene in that year, and going into week 1 last year, I didn't think very much of Gardner Minchew. I didn't know very much about him. And then he went on to take the starting job right away. Now the question is, he's the starter. Since again, if you're a rookie putting up numbers like that, you gotta give him another opportunity. A guy who was first game in the NFL, who again was a rookie quarterback who had his good moments. Sure, in games that he started, he was 6-6. So again, is this guy your future? And again, I'm about to read a quote on what Leonard Fournette said, and then I'll read some quotes from what Doug Marrone, the head coach of the Jaguars, said. So this will decide who is who. And again, this can be a great debate all around Jacksonville. Since I think this really is a very interesting topic of discussion. Since again, somebody can say a quote like Leonard Fournette says we should bring in Cam Newton, okay? And now it'll be interesting to see whether his coaches or not agree with him. So this is what Leonard Fournette said, quote, "Cam went to the Super Bowl," Fournette said. "He's a great guy. I've been knowing Cam for a minute now. And like I told some people that talked to me, it's no disrespect to Gardner Minchew. I'm just trying to get in the best position as a team we can to win." Cam went to the Super Bowl. That was 5 years ago. Okay? You could say it's the same thing about a lot of players. Cam went to the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and granted, he's played close to that level for a number of seasons since then, about a year and a half since then, but the organization of the Panthers is in a completely different direction than what they were, say, 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, whatever. They're in a different direction. That's great that he went to the Super Bowl. You could say the same thing about Joe Flacco. Now, granted, Cam Newton's been much, much better than Joe Flacco. But as of right now, they're both in that transition point where they're no longer the guy for that franchise where they went to or won a Super Bowl. You could say the same thing for Colin Kaepernick years ago when they're in a transition point in their career. You could say the same thing. I mean, you could go on and on and on. Okay? So I get he went to the Super Bowl, and that was great. But remember, as I just said, that was 5 years ago. Sure, he went to the Super Bowl. That's great. But the question is he that type of caliber player? Okay? I've known Cam for a minute now. What does that mean when you know him for a minute? Does it mean you've known him for a short time? Does it mean you've known Cam for 3 years? I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. And I told people, let's talk. And again, it's no respect to Gardner Minchew. Gardner Minchew was a starting quarterback for a year. So you're saying you'd rather have an unproven quarterback who has battled injuries basically for the last year and a half, has barely played the last year and a half, over Gardner Minchew? I mean, come on. You're thinking Cam's really better for the team than Gardner Minchew. Now, a healthy Cam, who knows? But we have yet to see a healthy Cam Newton. Has not played a full season since 2017, and they went to the playoffs. But that was 3 years ago. I'm just trying to get in the best position as a team as we can to win. So again, you think Cam's the best option. How much better are the Jaguars going to be with Cam Newton as their quarterback? And again, they're going to get better. They're going to make some picks in the draft. Hopefully, whoever they pick in the draft has an impact on them pretty much right away. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks. So again, this team has gone backwards. Gone is Jalen Ramsey. Gone is, I'm trying to think. They have a fair amount of players that were not on that on that team anymore. But Jalen Ramsey's the biggest part. Gone is AJ Boye as well. Well, he's in Denver, so you completely retool that once dominant secondary. And again, remember Jacksonville. He's like, yes. The reason why that team went to the Super Bowl was Leonard Fournette's rookie year, or almost went to the Super Bowl, was Leonard Fournette's rookie year and a dominant defense. And they don't have anything close to that right now. And you're saying Cam Newton's the solution. Like, really? How good is this team in position to win right now? I mean, we don't know what this Jaguars team is going to be. Like, what if Gardner Minchew takes a step forward? Or what if he takes a big step backwards? I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this organization is going right now. They're in a lot of uncertainty. So, again, Leonard Fournette's all for Cam Newton. He likes how I went to a Super Bowl 5 years ago. And he thinks he's better than Gardner Minchew. Okay, so here's what. So this is from Doug Monroe and David Caldwell. So yesterday in a news conference, they mentioned that the Jaguars will add another QB, but is confident Gardner Minchew will be the starter. Okay. So when you talk about another quarterback, whether that's the free agency, does that mean you could bring in Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton? Or does that mean you potentially draft a quarterback whenever you're picking? Now, I saw a mock draft. That's if Tua falls. That Tua could go 10th to the Jaguars, right? So you bring in Tua, you rest for a year, or however long, let him rest for a year, and then it's Gardner Minchew, and they compete against each other. But again, if you drafted Tua, you are drafting someone that is going to be a franchise quarterback. And with that, you think Gardner Minchew's their guy. So again, what are you going to do there? Now again, this team chose to move on from Nick Foles. They didn't even let them compete against each other. Well, again, since here was the thing, Nick Foles got hurt, okay. And who knows, if Foles doesn't get hurt, I mean, Foles, to be fair, never really got a chance to never really got a full opportunity in Jacksonville. Since you think about it, gets hurt, comes back, isn't very good, gets benched, and then that's it, is traded. Because I think Gardner Minchew's that much better already. Well, so Foles never really got a fair shot in Jacksonville. Now we'll be competing with Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. So again, uncertain quarterbacks. And you talk about David Caldwell and Doug Monroe. Like I talked about the Jaguars back in December going into Week 16. Kind of the same time when I talked about Cowboys-Eagles, right? And what I mentioned is, that was after Tom Coughlin got fired. And what I mentioned is Monroe and Caldwell should have been fired as well. I'm surprised they were not fired. I'm surprised they're back together. And if this continues again, if they have another, say, I don't know, 5-10, 5-11, 6-10 like year, like this organization has been really for the last 10 plus years, for the most part. Do they get fired? I mean, what's going to happen, right? What is this organization right now? So again, that's the thing. I'm surprised they're still there, but they are. So now, okay. So this is the quote said by Doug Monroe. Right now, if we went to play, Gardner Minchew's our guy, and I'm excited about that, Monroe said. But do I want competition for him? Absolutely. You want competition for everybody, though. I don't want to make it where I'm answering the question people are saying Monroe's not as confident in Minchew. I want competition, not just for the quarterback, but I want competition for everybody. Okay, so what Monroe is saying is, yes, he's our guy, but I want competition for him. I want okay? So it's not just the quarterback, it's the whole team. So again, so if Monroe wants competition for him, and we just talked about that, if you bring in Cam Newton, is Cam Newton automatically your starter? And if it doesn't pan out, is he released? Is he the backup quarterback in Jacksonville? Is it Gardner Minchew? Since again, this is a 6th-round pick who nobody expected him to really do anything this year. Okay, that nobody expected that. And now you're so what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do, right? That's the thing. So it's uncertainty. So again, this is one thing that Leonard Fournette said today. So it sparks a debate. It sparks something to talk about. So in this time right now, there are very little sports stories. If everything was normal, would I be talking about this right now? Probably not. I'd probably not be talking about this right now. But this is one of the biggest stories in the NFL, which is a national sports story. Okay, this is a debate. And again, there's speculation. So if you want to ask me, do I think Cam will sign with the Jaguars? I'm going to say no. I do not think he'll sign with the Jaguars. This is based on what Doug Monroe said. And again, Cam Newton's playing to be a starter. Wherever he goes, I think he will be given the opportunity to very likely start. And Jacksonville's not a good place. And again, in the Leonard Fournette era, he's played under Blake Bortles for the most part, and basically Gardner Minchew. So again, I get it. Yeah, Leonard, I get it. You want Cam Newton. I think that's good for the team. You think he's the best option out there. But again, would you be saying this if the Panthers went to the playoffs in 2018 as a healthy Cam, and then last year Cam's healthy and they keep him, and they're a playoff contender again? Maybe they manage to make it to the playoffs with a healthy Cam 2 years in a row. I don't know. And Ron Rivera's not the Redskins coach. Would you be saying that then? No. The only reason why you're saying that is Cam Newton's available and was released by the Panthers. That's why you're saying that. So again, whatever's going on in Jacksonville, it's all uncertainty. What is Cam Newton in Jacksonville? Uncertainty. What is Gardner Minchew this year? Again, we kind of compared his good side and his bad side. And overall was good. So the question is, can he build on that, right? And that's what I think. I think he can build on that. I think it's something he can build on. And I do not think the Jaguars should try to sign Cam Newton. I really don't. And again, is this a story, say, a week from now when the draft's over? Is this a story a month from now? How long is this going to be a story for? It's going to be interesting. But again, Cam has been in the news a lot over the last year or so, especially the last few weeks. And again, this sparked controversy. This sparked a headline. Gardner Minchew's the quarterback in Jacksonville, unless they say somehow draft Tua. And if it doesn't work out and the Jaguars plummet, and then it comes down to Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, then so be it. But right now, I think this is Gardner Minchew's team. And what if you draft, again, where you're picking, you could take a Jerry Jeudy, best receiver in this draft class, potentially to help Gardner Minchew. And that's probably what they'll be doing. Or maybe they'll take a cornerback. Who knows what they're doing, but what I've heard is they'll take a cornerback to replace Jalen Ramsey. Again, there's no cornerback in this draft like Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey's one of the best cornerbacks to come along, really probably in any draft over the last 5 years. And then you draft a receiver. So again, this Jaguars team's trying to get better, and they think they can win with Gardner Minchew. I think they can too. And again, if Tom Brady decided he wanted to sign with the Jaguars, then Gardner Minchew wouldn't be an option. If they decide they want to trade for, I don't know which quarterbacks they could trade for. You could go on and on. Mitchell Trubisky, trade Nick Foles for Mitchell Trubisky, whatever. Or they bring in another quarterback, who knows? But again, it seems like the organization's is going into the Gardner Minchew direction. It's really just something that Leonard Fournette said again. In the NBA, this happens too. I'm sure every offseason this guy says, "Oh, we want you to come here," or whatever. I'm sure Steph Curry said, "I want LeBron to the Warriors 2 years ago," or whatever. Or I don't know. So there's a bunch of examples that this happens all the time in sports, especially the NBA. So again, I just think this was a comment said by Leonard Fournette, which he said on First Take. So of course it's going to spark. Of course it's going to spark a debate, and it's going to provide content. And this is what this is right now, just content. So again, in closing, I'm going to make this final statement as I get ready to wrap this episode up. Cam Newton will not sign with the Jaguars, and Gardner Minchew is a starter. In fact, I'm going to stand on what I said 3 weeks ago. Cam Newton is going to go to the Patriots. And this is my take for now.